because Lynette Sorrentino is our guest, and it was a last minute thing because the Huskers, of course, they put a beat down. The men's basketball team did, and then we were all plunged into chaos. Like, do we have a show? Do we not have a show? Are we going to get preempted? And then our original guest couldn't make it because his daughter's soccer games got moved, and he's the coach. And it's like, I told Shannon, I go, I don't know. This was like Thursday night. She goes, oh, call Lynette Sorrentino. She'll do great. So Lynette is our guest today, and I have been looking forward to this interview for at least 24 hours.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that.
That's too much.
So,
Lord.
So basically, you own it's Chaos to Boss,
Correct?
right? And tell us a little about it. I mean, I love the name because I've got Chaos figured out.
Right.
Totally hammered, but the boss thing, maybe not so much.
That's why it was created.
There you go. That's why you have a business.
Yes, that's right. So Chaos. So I actually have two businesses. I've been in the payments and point of sale business for about 12 years.
Okay.
And during the course of that time, my daughter hinted to me a couple of times about I needed to do some mentoring or coaching or something because I'd done that in a previous life. And because she said, Mom, you change people's lives. And I went, well, that's a nice thing for your daughter to tell you, particularly when she's a teenager.
You're right.
And when I was in payments, I saw all of these business owners. We become an entrepreneur either because it's for a cause or a mission, or it's usually for a lifestyle or a combination of both. Would you agree that that's probably a good assessment? Sure. But when I was in payments, I didn't see business owners living that way. They didn't have the time freedom. They didn't have the financial freedom. They were working 24/7. It was costing them health, relationships, emotionally, physically, marriages. They didn't know their numbers. There was just a lot of chaos that was going on because no one was teaching them. Maybe they had a passion for something. Gary, can I pick on you a minute?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Okay, so you take Gary.
Let me take my headphones off.
Gary is gifted. I've seen his floral arrangements. You're gifted at that. So you could take people who are gifted at what they do, but they're not a business person. And then they're trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur and run a business. At the same time, you are just gifted at creating arrangements.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
All the time.
With businesses.
Exactly. So the piece of that, when I looked at Chaos to Boss, as I said, there's a lot of things I can bring to the table because in my prior career, I was teaching women how to work a full-time job, run a part-time business, do all the kids stuff, how to sell, leadership, culture, productivity, time management. And I saw all those things not existing for business owners. And I said, what is the one thing I can most bring to the table to them right now? And this is birthed really during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I can help them be more organized and be more proactive, and I don't want to say time management because you manage your activities, you don't manage time. But if they could be more intentional about how they were organizing and structuring their day and how that would allow them to grow and scale, then I could show them more about leadership or culture or sales or all of those things. But you've got to control of your time because most people are running around in react mode.
Right.
They're the thermometer and they need to be the thermostat.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine always said, you're a fireman on the merry-go-round. You're just going in circles and putting out fires. That's all you do.
Yeah.
And trying to get a handle on that, it's not easy. I mean, we've been in business for 25 years and I still haven't figured it out.
Well,
so
people are messy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just messy. We just are. That's life. We're messy.
Well,
hey, real quick to clarify something. So when you say you're in the payments business, for people listening,
yes.
What does that mean?
Payments means that when a business owner is taking a transaction and you go and run your debit or your credit card,
okay,
I'm the company that helps set that up for them.
So credit card processing, you handle that or just the setup?
Credit card processing.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I help them set up their account, get them the equipment, do all of the stuff.
And so you still do that. You're just expanding to now coaching.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
So I started in payments in 2015 after being in direct sales for over 25 years. And then it was during COVID that I started Chaos to Boss. And now that's been both of those things. So payments is a residual. So it allows me to be able to live the lifestyle I want. And Chaos to Boss allows me to go out and create an impact and help people a lot so they can have the lifestyle that I get to have now because of how I figured some of that out.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So now when you started this, you're just looking for business owners that are trying to just get a handle, like trying to streamline their business or trying to streamline their mentality? Or what exactly are you looking for to help people with?
I think it's business is an inside and an outside job.
Mhm.
Your mindset will make all the difference in the world. I don't care how great your skills are. And a lot of business owners who open up a shop or who do anything, and I'm thinking about business owners who were newer, not ones that are doing millions a year.
Mhm.
They have figured out some of that. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not in burnout mode, but they're not in the chaotic mode. That's different levels, okay?
Right.
In the chaos beginning mode is you're trying to do it all, you're not knowing how to delegate, but also you are not even thinking like a business owner because you've moved from an employee, you've started your own business, but you're still in employee mode. You
Mhm.
haven't taken on the mindset of an owner and what an owner has to do to take the 30,000 foot view and run the business. And then what does that take? And then how do you go in and how do you do it? So the mindset is always there. And there may be limiting beliefs as well. Like you don't believe that you could delegate. You don't believe that you deserve to have so much money. There's a lot of limiting beliefs that can come along with it. So there's the mindset piece that has to go hand in hand. Every time I have worked on my mindset or worked on my own personal growth, then my business grew.
Mhm.
And then I'd hit a plateau. I'd go work on myself again. Then my business would grow. So my mantra has always been personal growth precedes business growth.
Mhm.
So that's the mindset piece. But then you have to put the systems and structure in place as well so that things start to run on their own and run automatically instead of feeling like you're the fireman on the merry-go-round.
Yeah. So do you mostly work with brand new businesses, or is it just kind of a myriad of?
It's been over the years, it's been a myriad of business people who are more seasoned. I've worked with startups. It's been a variety. I work a lot with the business owner themselves. That's kind of where it started. Some of them I've gone in deeper to then how do they grow and scale in terms of adding more systems and stuff with their employees. But the speed of the leader, speed of the gang.
Mhm.
So you get the entrepreneur, the business owner in the right place, then it starts going the right direction. But you've got to turn the ship
And
for
I
them
think
first.
when like Gary bought his business, so he had employees. He kind of jumped into the deep end, whereas we just hung our shingle out. My wife and I,
Yeah.
and so it's the same, but it's a different stage. And
Yeah.
I think hiring your first employee, like going from I don't have enough money to pay myself,
Mhm.
but I don't have the time that's required to put into this business
Yeah.
that it needs,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out how do I hire somebody when I can't even afford to pay myself?
Yes.
And we have so much of that. I think a lot of people out there are probably driving down the road and shaking their head going, yeah, how do we get to that point? Is that like the first when you work with brand new businesses,
Yeah.
is that where it usually
The
starts?
biggest issue is that they are not out of the mindset. I have 4 quadrants that I really focus and teach with them. And I actually kind of created a planner to go along with it. Is their mindset. Then it's planning and preparation. It's elimination, which includes delegation or even just letting go. And then it's containment. So we're talking about a lot of that elimination delegation piece. So my question to them is, how much is it costing you right now not to do that?
Mm-hmm.
How much is it costing you, not just in where you could put more effort? Because you're getting caught up in the minutia. And if you had someone doing the minutia and something that is not in your strength that you're kicking down the road and procrastinating on, how much is your time worth to go generate more revenue to do that? So it's shifting that mindset about you have to spend money to make money. And when you go have more time to do that, then you can pay someone to do it. And we also assume that we have to hire a full-time employee. Maybe you trade. Maybe you can have someone who could be an intern. You can go offshore and outsource. There's so many avenues now
Yeah.
that people have that bluntly don't give me the excuse you can't afford it. You have to
Right.
just look at it differently, but you have to also value your time. And that's where the mindset piece comes in because people don't value their time and how much they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
So I once heard Darren Hardy say, think about how much money you want to make in a year. So I'm going to pull up my calculator here quick. So Gary, how much money you want to make this year?
$250,000.
250,000. Okay. And let's say that if you're working 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, just a normal job, right? That's 2,000 hours.
Wait a minute. So did you just assume I'm normal? We need to back up just a little bit. I thought we knew each other. No, go
Okay,
ahead.
so all right.
Yeah, Gary works an hour and a half a week on
I'm
Saturday.
just trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Thank you.
I'm trying to help you out here, Gary.
Okay, that's a good assumption. then.
Okay, so if I took $250,000 and divided it by 2,000 hours that you would work in a year,
Mhm.
that means you're worth $125.
Okay.
So any job, anything that needs to be done in your business that you could pay someone less than $125, you need to delegate out because you're worth, imagine you taking all that time. That's part of how you get there.
Right. Yeah, it
That's
makes
a
total
good-
sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Well, we have a break coming up here. So let's run to that real quick. Just want to give a quick thanks to our sponsor, Mendoza Family Insurance. One of those, these guys are one of those insurance agencies that actually picks up the phone when you call and they know your name. And it's so important in insurance because I'm going through a struggle right now with one of my business insurance things, but that's a whole nother story. But Mendoza Family Insurance, they do home, they do auto, they do business. I'm trying to move some stuff over to them as we speak, but they will help you understand what you're buying and not just sell you a policy. So to learn more, go to MendozaFamilyInsurance.com. That's MENDOZA FamilyInsurance.com. You're listening to Inside Business. I'm Travis Filing with Gary Tharnish, talking with Lynette Sorrentino of Chaos to Boss, and we will have more right after this break.
With Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
And we're back on Inside Business. This segment sponsored by Western National Bank. Just moved one of my loans over to them this week. One of my rentals, they saved me 1.5 points. And
Wow, that's
yikes, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. Call them.
always
They
a good
are
deal.
fantastic guys.
No kidding.
Today our guest is Lynette Sorrentino, and she is with Chaos to Boss. And I got us a little off track in that first segment.
You got excited.
I know. You said something that's like I just dive in and we kind of let the conversation flow, but we missed where how you got started, how you started in business. I imagine you worked for somebody else at one point in time and said, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. So tell us about where you started.
Sure. Well, I'm a Western Nebraska farm girl, and I figured out very quickly that if you go and work hard and you do things and you can go make some extra cash. That started with selling Girl Scout cookies so I could go to camp for free because mom didn't have enough money. Then I went to getting a job because I wanted more clothes than she could afford. And that just became that hardworking hustle that I had to go work ethic. That's a boomer thing, right? And just going working hard. And quite often I was working 3 jobs in 60 hours a week. Did it as a secretary because I wanted to be really good at whatever I did. But then I figured out I really wasn't making any money and I didn't want to keep working these 60 hours a week. So I got into sales because that was the only place that I knew that a woman could make as much money as a man without a college degree. And got into sales and did very well. But the turning point kind of came when I saw my boss. I was working for a local radio station, used to be called KHAT. Do you remember that radio station?
Yep, I do.
I think that's maybe how I first met you, Gary.
But yeah, could be.
I think it was. So anyway, I was selling air and I saw my boss. He was there when I got there in the morning and he was still there when I left to go home at night. And my little brain went, how is this going to work when I get married and have kids? How is this going? It wasn't fitting with the values that I had to be ambitious and be a career woman, at the same time, be like a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And I kind of made a mental note of that, but I didn't have any plan. And then someone, one of my radio station clients came to me and approached me about this direct sales business. And the priorities were faith first, family second, career third. And I saw the kind of money that people were making and I went, this is perfect. And that started my entrepreneurial journey. I didn't know anything about skincare, cosmetics, anything about direct sales at all, but I had a lot of mentorship there and the desire was just there to go create a life that I could envision my life being, as a single woman and then going on and being able to have kids and have a family. So after 6 months, I'd quit all 3 jobs and did that business and then went on to earn 14 cars, including some of them.
Mary Kay?
Some of them were pink. 7 of them were pink.
Did you have the pink
Yep.
Cadillac? I love
had
the pink
7 of them.
Cadillac.
Yeah.
Man.
They were so fun.
I'd still drive a pink Cadillac if I had one.
My daughter tells me, Mom, I still wish you had your pink Cadillac. So they were very fun. So that was my entrepreneurial journey. And I did all this stuff. I had moved it 3 different times. I was in the top 5% of the company. I went from look at my personal vision and what I saw for my family, and really went into what always is driven me is to help other people. And I saw how I could help other women be able to maybe get out of that job that they don't like, to stay at home with their kids, to supplement their income, to increase their lifestyle. And that went on for 25 years, including
Wow.
moving to Washington State.
Wow.
And there came a time when we moved to Washington State. That was really my kid's dad's goal to move out there. And we were out there for a while, and I got a phone call on Labor Day weekend from my brother. It was on Friday, my brother-in-law. And he said, your dad's really sick. He's in the hospital in Kearney. We think he has liver cancer, but they won't do a test until Tuesday because of Labor Day weekend. You know how your gut tells you to do something?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got on an airplane on Sunday, and Monday night he was gone.
Oh,
Oh, geez.
But what moving halfway across the country was hard because, you get used to your nucleus,
Sure.
in the
Oh, yeah.
Midwest, and and that Mary Kay was like
Yeah.
that family. And moving out there were people I connected with, but it wasn't the same. It's like, you're halfway across the country from everybody and all
Sure.
your support network. And when we had my dad's funeral in Holdridge, there were carloads of pink Cadillacs that showed up, and all these women, driving 3 and 4 hours. My mentor took 3 plane flights to get here from Oklahoma City.
wow.
And that spoke the world to me. But what it also told me is I looked around and looked at my life and said, I just turned 50 3 months ago. This is not where I thought life was going to be. I think we all have a time in life, whether it's a milestone birthday or a milestone significant event in our life, when we look and say, something's not right. You just changed the
Mhm.
trajectory of where you wanted to be.
Well, sure.
So to shorten the story, I made some very difficult decisions. God just told me to move home. People thought I was crazy. I was having midlife crisis. It went into a very ugly divorce and blew up in lots of ways. But what it did is sometimes there are things in life that change the trajectory in a way that we never expected our life would be, but it was in a good way. That forced me to move to Omaha. I stayed in Mary Kay for a while, and I just felt like I needed something new. And that's when the payment door opened the door for me. And I killed it in payments, and I've killed it in payments just like I killed it in Mary Kay. That's how I roll.
Hmm.
But I don't know how many times I burned myself out.
Yeah. And
So-
that happens a ton.
And,
Oh, yeah.
in Washington State, I was trying to be super mom and do all this stuff, manage the household and support the family, because it was all on me with the Mary Kay business, and be the mom and be the wife and the community person. And there's just only so much you can put in your backpack on your back and burdens you can carry until it breaks you.
So, not to get too far off topic, because I'm going to, is Mary Kay, is it a franchise? Do you actually own it? Do you work for the company? Is it 100%
You're a
commission?
1099. You're a
Okay.
1099 contractor.
So you own your own business.
You own your own business. Exactly.
and you basically get 100% commission.
Correct.
And so when you left, did you sell your book of business, or did you just walk away from it? Was that an option?
So you don't have a book of business necessarily to sell. So what I did is when I walked away from a leadership position because my heart wasn't in it, and I didn't feel like the integrity thing to do was to just ride out the residuals, just ride out the commissions from my team. I chose to walk away from the leadership position, but I'm still a consultant. So I have friends that when I place an order, I place an order for all of us. I'm still using the product, that's
Because I think
you can really take it at a level that you want.
I mean, when you move, it's not like you can take that business with you, because it's really, it's face-to-face sales for the most part,
Well,
isn't it?
Yeah. So it is, but when I had my team, so to get to those pink Cadillacs, that's about leadership. That's not about sales. That's mentoring, that's leadership, that's culture, that's helping other people. So all of those people, you could move anywhere in the country and you're still maintaining all that team, because I built an organization coast to coast. Not everybody was local,
Mhm.
because someone would sponsor their cousin or their best
Yeah.
friend or their neighbor, and it just becomes a ripple effect.
Sure.
So I would start new customers every time I physically moved, but I wasn't, my team I kept with me.
Okay.
Does that answer
Interesting.
your question?
Yeah, it does. I've always been curious about that,
Mhm.
about, because you see the cars, although you don't see them as much anymore. Or is it just me? Maybe I'm not paying attention. But yeah, I was just
Yeah.
kind of curious about it because it's like,
Well,
it's a business.
Have you ever noticed when you buy a new car, then you see that make and model everywhere?
That's
Just need to
true.
buy a pink Cadillac, Travis,
Hey,
and then
but-
you'll see them
Yeah,
everywhere.
there you go.
and you know, I just, the pink Cadillac I thought was brilliant marketing.
Yes,
Really.
it was.
Good reward.
Well, we're going to have to head to a break here. So
Okay,
when we
Gary.
come back, we're going to delve into this chaos to boss a little bit more.
Okay.
We want to thank UPS Stores of Lincoln for sponsoring the show. For business owners, the UPS store is more than shipping, printing, mailboxes, signs, and logistics that actually save you time. If you run a business, the UPS store is a great local resource. There are 5 Lincoln locations. You're listening to Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing. We're talking with Lynette Sorrentino of Chaos to Boss today. And we'll be right back. We have a lot more.
Lots
Find
of
out
questions.
today.
Tons of questions.
Early mornings, late nights, real pressure. If you've ever built something from nothing, you're in the right place. This is Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
We're back on Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing, and we're talking with Lynette Sorrentino of Chaos to Boss, sponsored by Integrated Behavioral Health Services. It's time for 5 takeaways. This is the segment where we get 5 things our listeners can apply to their business today. So, Lynette, with that in mind, what's the first piece of knowledge you have now that you wish someone gave you the day you started?
Ooh.
It's always a tough one.
Mm-hmm. You know, I always had strong work ethic, but I remember someone saying about 2 or 3 years into my entrepreneurial journey, they said, when you get in control of your emotions, you get in control of your paycheck.
That's me.
Oh, I like that.
I needed that.
Yeah, really.
I still do that.
Because-
Yeah, so do I.
Especially when you're new, but even when it's a big thing, you can have, even in an hour, you can have something great and then something punch you in the gut and then something great. You're like
Yeah.
an EKG,
It's a
right?
roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster.
No kidding, it is.
And the more you learn to roll with it and focus on your effort and not the results, and not every outcome is good or bad, and just you're going to have good and bad and ups and downs. The more you learn to roll with that and the big picture and just trust the overall process, that does so much for your mental health, because you're not an EKG going crazy and you're not,
Yeah, pulling that emotion out of it's so business. I mean, it's so important in business. And I know, well, like when I had the flower shop, it was all emotion, right? I mean, death in the family, new baby, prom, wedding. I mean, the whole gamut. Now it's more in real estate. It's definitely, first off, a huge amount of money that they're dealing with. And then you have an emotional side of it. I love the house. It smells great. It looks like, but then you have the analytical. Does this fit what your needs are? And I just was way over on the emotional side so often, and then you're dealing with different personalities and couples. And that's a huge one. The whole emotion thing, being able to take it out and be more analytical. Not that you can't be emotional, but you have to have that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can be excited. You need to celebrate your wins.
Sure.
You need to take your step back and look at what you did wrong. But it's that 10,000-foot view of that, rather than being in the moment like a toddler and reacting to everything.
No kidding.
Well, and a lot of people, wins and losses. I mean, you take your losses, but don't let it turn into quicksand, right? Because it seems like if you focus on your losses, it seems like here comes a bad thing and another and another and another, and you miss even the little wins. You have to pay attention. And I love that. Take the emotion out of it, because that's business. There's going to be wins and losses.
Yep.
Well, I would remember when I first started in real estate that I would get a call about something about a house that seemed overwhelming and tragic, and the deal was going to fall through or something, because it was just like, how do you do that? And then having to make the call to either the buyer or the seller, whichever side you were representing, and think, I have to deliver this bad news or what could be bad news, would just stifle me. It was like the phone weighed 10,000 pounds and I'm having to pick it up, and I'm like, wait, I'll call in a minute. And then another realtor said, remember, in a situation like that, you're the messenger. Before you call, have some solutions. So now when I start going down into these things, because it does happen every day in in any business, in life in general, is a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to deliver bad news at some point.
Yeah,
All the
focusing on solutions too is a big thing. It's much better to deliver bad news if you have some ideas how to turn that around.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can do however, here's the bad news, however, here's some ideas, and you lay them out. Well, now at least you've taken some of the emotion. It's still a gut punch if it's bad news, but at least now we have something going forward, as opposed to if you just drop it in somebody's lap.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, that was a good first takeaway. What's a second takeaway?
What you focus on expands.
Oh, I believe that so much. So I took a ninja class. We call it what you think expands. But
So
focus
much.
is the same way, very much so.
So much about focus. And then, and I'm going to go back to the personal growth precedes business growth, because the more you work on yourself, the more your business is going to grow, because there is John Maxwell's law of the lid. You know, if you are only going to excel to some point, your employees are going to hit your lid, and you either have to keep getting better with your skills, or they're going to get as good or better than you, and then they're going to go find a job somewhere else because they can do it better. So you have to constantly be challenged yourself. And, you know, and I think entrepreneurs by nature, we like to learn and grow, and like some of that, that's kind of the way our brains work anyway. So the more you do that, but then kind of one I've coined on my own, which might lead into some of our other takeaways, is grinding is only for coffee beans.
I like that. Yeah, let's expand on that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also tell people, if you think you can't, you're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a famous quote. There. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's true.
Yeah. I love that. The daily grind. See, that was okay. So I didn't hire a coach in my business till 95. So I'd been in business almost 10 years when I did. And I was all that wrong stuff I was kind of successful in spite of myself. From the outside, I looked great. On the inside, I was totally burned out and a complete wreck. And it was affecting my family, my life, the whole ball of wax. So I get that.
And I think you're probably more the majority when that was happening.
Yep.
You're more the majority. You're more normal than most people are willing to realize or acknowledge, and they've just got the mask on. You know, go to any, you know, you and I both network a lot. Go to any networking group. How's life? How's business? Oh, it's great. It's terrific. We're doing this. We're doing that. And then back of your mind, you're going, I hope I can pay this bill this month. I'm in the red. How am I going to make payroll? We have this mask on, and we're so busy looking successful and being all the stuff, looking like all of that in a bag of chips on the outside, but inside we're struggling. We're not thriving. We're not resting well. We're not sleeping well. Our mind's never quiet. We're irritable. We're crabby. We've started to lose our passion for our business. All of those are signs that you're burning out. And pretty soon you just hit the wall. Like you just can't do anymore. You can't make that next. I remember in sales, I couldn't make that next phone call. I couldn't make that next thing.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've all been there.
That's because you're fried. And what happens is when you're in that, you know, our world is so much about the hustle and the grind. So when you're in that high elevation mode, you're in fight or flight mode all of the time.
Right.
So that accelerates your nervous system, and you're there, and it's not sustainable. And so then it affects your physical health. It affects your mental health. It affects your relationships. It eventually affects your finances and your business. And, you know, we're all celebrating Nebraska basketball today. And I use sports analogies a lot. But if you think about any athlete, whether you're a fan of sports or not, if you think of any athlete, they're performing when they're on the field or on the court at 110%. But are they doing it 100% of the time? They take time to go and sit on the bench and rest.
Right.
But even after the game, there's recoup time, there's rest time. And our culture has not told us to rest. They're not saying relax. We're saying get up and hit it from the time you get out of bed. And we fall into bed exhausted, tired, and then we rinse and repeat. 5 days a week, then I can't wait till Friday, and then I hate Sunday, and rinse and repeat, and rinse and repeat. Then I can't wait to go on vacation and hit the beach, and it takes you 3 days to just relax and calm your nervous system down.
Yeah.
If you're not answering your phone, if you're not checking your email, if you're not, it took me a couple decades to really enjoy a vacation. And I remember I mentioned this on the show before. Also, I'd like to note that Lynette Sorrentino said I was normal at the beginning. This number 2, just get that recorded. Anyway, I remember on vacations, I would work. And I remember when I thought got a coach, Tam Mahaffey at the time. She was amazing. She's retired now. Her dreams came true, which was great. She was big on visualization. But I went on this vacation, and I remember Debbie, my sister who was managing the shop at the time, she said, well, what do you mean you're not going to answer your phone while you're gone? I go, you guys are great. I trust everything that you can do. And she goes, so you're just not going to have any communication? What if the building burns down? I go, well, call our insurance agent.
Right. Call the fire department.
You wouldn't want to know? I go, well, I don't want anybody to get hurt. But I said, I mean, the point being, finally, I'm going to go on vacation. And it was huge. I was so rested when I came back.
Yeah.
Do you think, and maybe it's just me, it seems like right now, burnout is almost, people are wearing it like a badge of honor.
Yes.
Right?
I
Like,
agree.
It's like misery loves company. Oh, I'm so burned out. Well, are you? And what are you doing about it?
That's true.
I agree with you. And I think we've just become like this hustle and grind culture is a badge of honor. And I was at that point, even though I had moved into payments, I was just starting Chaos to Boss. I was doing all of that. I had a lot of stuff going on in my family with my son, a lot of health issues. So there was just a whole piece of life that was very nervous system. The cortisol was there. I was 20 pounds heavier, and it wasn't just menopause. It was, it was all of that. And I just said, I realized that was not sustainable. And I had a coach. Notice how we're bringing up coaches a lot. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Right. Do it all, either figure it out on your own or else have someone help you and get there half as fast. Anyway, I listened to her talk about being in flow and taking time to calm down, and how do you start your day and how do you end your day? So I've put a lot of strategies into place where I've taken that high nervous system on the go, feel like I have to be on all of the time. And I've been able to flip the switch that I feel like I'm in this boss mode of what I call peace, calm, rested state all of the time. I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a hurry. I just am flowing with life, a lot like you're just flowing in a raft down the river. And what's happened is not only is my peace of mind and my overall physical, mental state better, but business has grown and is better than it was when I'm acting in hyper mode.
And that's really a good piece. Yeah.
Sure.
That's a great
But people
point.
don't know to trust that.
Yeah.
Because let's go back to your reference. Here's kind of why that happens. You mentioned the reference, like, when you're looking for a car, all of a sudden you notice that you have that car.
Right.
Okay. So how many times do you guys get an idea in the shower or while you're driving?
Yeah.
You ever get an
often.
idea?
All the time.
Okay. Because your mind is more at an arrested state because you're focusing on that function of driving or being in the shower.
Just one thing, not 1,000 things.
Right.
So allowing your brain to just relax, 95% of our mind is subconscious. 5% is conscious. And so if you're allowing yourself to be in that rested state, the solutions, the ideas, the intuition, the gut feelings are all allowing themselves to surface. But if your brain is going a cajillion 90 miles an hour, there's no way for any of that to come forth.
Yeah.
When you're trying to be in create mode, or you're trying to think of how to do something, you're trying to find something. I can't find my glasses. All of a sudden you let go and you find it. Those everyday things that we don't realize what we're doing, if you applied that to your whole life, your life would magically be so much more relaxed and better and joyful and peaceful and fun and calm. And you're not going to crab at your kids or your spouse or
Or at least as much. Right.
I looked for my phone the other day when it was in my hand.
Oh, I do
That's
that
always fun.
all the time.
Good.
But you know what's funny? I built a sauna in my basement, and I've never put two and two together. I get my best ideas when I'm just sitting there doing nothing. And I've never stopped to go, gee, Travis, you're not sitting in front of the computer with emails coming in and texts and social media and all these other things. Ding, 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 ding. That's when my brain goes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So what if you do that intentionally and purposefully?
Well, I got to
Imagine
think
what would
about that
happen.
now, because I've never made the correlation. Where were you 25 years ago when I started
Ding,
my
ding, ding,
business?
We are told, especially, me as a baby boomer, but I think overall inherently, work. The harder you work, the more it's going to happen. Actually, less. I even watched, there were times when I needed to make this sale, or you're going for this goal, or I need this real estate transaction, or you need this deal to come through. And you almost get into what I call commission breath, or, you're just like, gotta make it happen. But realtors talk about this all the time. The more you just relax and walk away, that's when the phone rings.
Yeah.
That's when
Yep.
the phone rings. That's when you get a referral. That's when it starts happening. We're holding on too tight.
Yeah.
You need to just let go. And I talk about this with delegating, but it applies here. You have to let go to grow. Because if you're holding on tight, Travis, and I've got my fists clenched here, if you're holding on tight with your fists, how can I give you anything? Because you can't open your hands.
Yeah.
That could be a good third takeaway right there.
Yeah. I think we're up to
You
4
got to
or 5
let go
by
to
now.
grow. Yeah, we're like
Yeah.
on 20. Yeah, let's just clarify
all
with everybody.
kind of
I like
blurred
that.
together,
Let
but
go
they're
to
good.
grow. I like that. It's
Let
easy.
go to grow.
Easy
Yeah.
to remember.
And one other quick one. A boss once told me, he said, do what you do best and hire everyone else to do the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
Yeah.
That's very
we
wise.
bang that drum all the time because you can't be good at everything.
Right.
You know?
You cannot, and it's usually the thing that you're kicking down the road, and there's someone who's just dying for you to hire them, that's brings their joy. So kind of goes with this, do what brings you joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Clifton's strengths helped me a lot when I went through that and realized what my strengths are, and then just use those and not try to get better on the ones I'm not good at all. So I'll have mentees that'll be like, I wish I was more like you, where you could walk into a room and you're talking to everybody and you can invite them to lunch and they feel like family, and I go, don't wish that. Be who you are, because I could sit and wish I have these strengths that you have that I don't have.
Yes.
I go, but be who you are and quit looking for that you're not, because you grow based upon who you naturally are and what your gifts are.
What, just so I know, because there's so many of these things out there. What is Clifton Strengths? I haven't heard of that one yet.
Well, it's Gallup and the 25 strength finders, right?
Yeah.
You can now take classes of it at UNL.
Oh, wow.
But you just answer a whole lot of questions in a real quick phase. And then at the end of it, it says, these are what your strengths are. Mine was like spot on. What do you think my top strength might be? Well, it's woo. Woo is basically I can blow smoke up
I can
and
see
make you
that.
believe anything, right?
I can
You
see that for
probably
you.
are very strong with woo. A lot of salespeople are strong with woo.
Yeah.
But it's not necessary to be a good salesperson. It's just that if that is your strength, know it, recognize it, and use it wisely. I didn't also use my woo wisely sometimes, right? I'd be like, whoa, and then I'd back up and go, oh gosh, I can't do that I just promised,
Yep.
So
see, we always did the Myers-Briggs thing, which I'm like, okay, so
Very
I'm an
similar.
INTJ.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
There's
disc is
and
another
each,
one.
Disc
each
is
one of
another
those
one.
things, I think you learn more about yourself. Because I pulled up my strengths. Woo was 10 with mine. I'm futuristic, so I'm really good at looking down the road. I'm really good with vision. So that's great. And I can be very focused, but when it comes to, what needs to happen or doing the tasks of bringing that back forward, that's when I hire an assistant for. That's when I have someone do the details, because I don't like tedious things. I
Right.
don't like things that are all that detailed, unless other than cooking. That's the only quote unquote tedious thing, but that's kind of creative to me too.
Sure.
So it goes into, because I think people look at so much what they're not doing well instead of focusing on their strengths and hire someone else to do the
Right.
things you're not.
I've talked about that 100 times. In the 80s and 90s, all your conferences were like, you need to get better at the things you're not, so you can be well-rounded. Make sure you can do 10 things at once. Now the whole thing is do one thing well, then go to the next thing. Focus is really important.
Yeah.
All of that. And it's difficult to get better at something you're not gifted with.
So do you mind if I put in one more thing
Go
here?
for it.
Because I know we're getting close. I want people to look at their lives as living whole 360, whole life 360, and more intentional. Because I think we get so trapped up into work or running a business that we don't think about the other areas of our life and where would I rank that? Where am I in my spirituality? Where am I in my confidence? Where am I in my finances? Where am I in my relationships? Some of those might really suck because you've put so much focus on the business and the career. And I get that as an entrepreneur, you have to put focus there. But sometimes if you're so busy doing that, then all those other things go away. And
Right.
I'll just go with one story here. I was at a class reunion about 4 or 5 years ago and ran into a friend of mine, and she was telling me how she and her husband had worked, at these jobs for so many years, and she had retired and he had just retired, and they bought a camper and they're so excited to go camping. Next thing you know, he's diagnosed with cancer and he was gone in 6 months.
Oh,
And the camper never went out for a trip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by living intentionally. How do you want your kids to be when they're graduating from high school? What are the joys? What are the things that you want to live your life? Because your calendar, here's the last one, your calendar reflects your values.
Yeah.
Your
I like
calendar
that.
It
reflects
does.
your values. So
It
when I go
does.
into my calendar, it's color coded and I can see where I have family time and where I have me time. Do the most important things first and the rest of it figures itself out.
Awesome.
I like that a lot. Yeah, because I never do you schedule family time? You actually put it on your calendar? You have
Absolutely.
kids, grandkids, all
Yep.
that. See, I don't do that. I probably should do that.
Because you're going to get around to it and the round to it never
It
comes,
never happens.
never happens.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's like waiting for the perfect time to start a family. It's never going to happen
You have to
unless
work.
you plan it.
Yep.
You
You got to
know?
work with intentionality day to day and long term.
Well, that was 5 takeaways or 6 or 7, but they were all fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I want to give a quick shout out to Wyuka Funeral Home and Cemetery. Appreciate them sponsoring the show. Wyuka has been serving linking families for generations, helping people and honoring lives and preserving legacies. So go check them out, wyuka.com, WYUKA.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Lynette Sorrentino of Chaos to Boss, and we will have more right after this break.
Stories of local success. You're listening to Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
And we're back. We're back. There we go. I never hear myself. Sometimes there's a little delay in my headphones.
Yeah.
But we are back, live on the air. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Lynette Sorrentino, Chaos to Boss. And this is Unexpected Impact. And so this is where we ask if you had something that happened in your business that was unexpected. But I actually wanted to pick up kind of where we left off because we talked about burnout, right?
Yep.
And so burnout, it's something big for me because you go through it. It's a fact of life.
Yep.
So how did you, at some point, you've had to have gone through burnout. How did you recognize it? What did you do to stop that repetitive, motion, so to speak, of being burned out?
I'm usually a pretty pretty quick learner. We'll get that out again. Say that 5 times fast, Gary.
That's okay. 5 times fast, Gary. 5 times fast, Gary. Oh, wrong part. Sorry.
There was a time when I really knew I needed to make a change after my dad died. But even when I came back, I was so busy getting out of survival mode to being back to being successful. I probably burned myself out another 2 or 3 times because you just get into, I got to make the donuts mode. Remember that old commercial?
Oh,
Got to
yeah.
make the donuts, got to make the donuts, got to go work. And it finally, I think I just got to a point, well, okay, I'm living well now. I'm making some good money. I feel like my lifestyle is where I wanted it to be, but I still felt like I was always on the hamster wheel. And I had that, I don't know if I was on burnout mode, but when I don't like this pace, I don't want to keep doing this the rest of my life. And I think maybe some of that had to do a little bit with age, but I also think that most people don't want to feel like they have to be on all of the time. So I took some steps back and said, what has to be different? The first thing I did is I started saying yes to me. And I had to realize that wasn't selfish. It's that if I didn't save myself, that I couldn't help anybody else, my kids, anybody that was important in my life, if I didn't say yes to me.
Sure.
And I'll give you 2 or 3 things and I'll let you guys pick up and see whatever you want to go. But I had to say yes to me. I had to start putting in more boundaries with who I said yes to and who I said no to, what I was willing to do. And also develop some systems for what I called recharge. So that whether it was that first thing in the morning, which I learned to take that me time and be very, very selfish with that. I'm an early riser, but I don't want to be out the door early. I'm an early riser because I have my gratitudes. I have my quiet time. I have my ritual and my routine I do in the mornings that centers me, that gets me grounded, just like Athlete Reference, getting in that zone before the game. But then you get those punches in the gut. That still happens. You have to have that emotional equipment, right?
All day long.
Yeah.
So there was things I learned to do to recharge. I learned to do the boundaries, to take time for me. And as I did that and took care of me first, then it was much easier for me to be able to give to everybody else because I was working from a healthier state in that peace and calm place rather than feeling like I was charging and I was getting up and going all day long. And I was not in that hyper nervous, elevated nervous system state.
Gary and I talk about that all the time. And life is full of pluses and minuses. No matter what you do, there's always going to be pluses and minuses, but it's managing the minuses, right?
Yes.
I mean, even like for me, it was cutting out the news because it's all doom and gloom. It's all politics. It's all, regardless of what your political stand is, if your guy's not in office, everything's bad. And the news is just going to hammer you. Just shut it off, right?
Well, it's managing your mindset through the negatives.
Yeah.
That's a big thing right there too. Don't let the negatives become something that you focus on all day, right? Deal with it, find a place for it, leave it to the side and focus on the positive because what you think expands. So if you are thinking on your negatives all day, because that's that'll hold you back.
Yeah.
Always, right?
I got a story for that. Do you mind if I share that?
Go for it.
Okay.
Your show, go.
That's right. We're just here to look handsome.
This is you guys are doing a good job today.
Oh no.
So this happened by accident. I was at a point where I had left Mary Kay. I had tried a couple of other network marketing companies. I was literally working my tail feathers off. This is public radio. So I'm working my tail feathers off. And I found myself counting the change in the floorboard of my car to put gas in it.
Oh, been there.
And I went, something's got to change. So my daughter was, it was during the summer, and my mom lives down at Harlan County Reservoir, south of Kearney, and that was always been my nice, quiet escape
Alma
retreat space. Exactly, my retreat space. So I decided I was going to go down there for a month. And I've always thought of myself as a grateful person, but I'm also that successful person that's always looking for the next thing and the next thing.
Sure.
So I got one of those just plain old binders, spiral binders that you get when you're going to school, and that had 25 lines on it. For 31 days in a row, I wrote down 25. For 31 days in a row, all month of July, I wrote down 25 things I was grateful for every single day. Sometimes it was the birds are singing. I've got 10 fingers and 10 toes. I've got my health. You have to really think when life is not abundant, you have to really get creative. And yes, there were days that I repeated the same thing, but I still wrote down 25 things because I was doing an industry that I knew very well, but I was starving. So it gets towards the end of July. A friend of mine said, just go on Indeed and apply for a job. And I'm going, there were a lot of ego things that came with that. And I'm too old and all of that stuff. And I applied for the job. And that was when I got my first job in payments. And they trained me a little bit and they set up appointments and I went out and I was closing. I probably were signing up 10 to 15 businesses a month that they'd set the appointments. And I went, well, check this out. I started getting back on my feet. Things were working well. And down the road, I went, well, how did that happen? How did I go from an industry that I'd been in for 25 years and knew it backwards, forwards, inside and out to going to a new industry and I'm making money and I didn't know anything about it. You guys know what shifted?
What? Your mindset, your gratitude. You were grateful.
My energy.
Oh, sure.
I was in desperate energy. I had to make it happen because it was your mindset, but your mindset also determines your energy. You can tell when you walk in the room if someone's crabby or in the great attitude,
right?
That you can feel someone's energy. So instead of working from desperation, I was at a gratitude energy and boom, things started clicking. Yeah. So then I started taking that. So that's how I start. That's one of the things I do to start my mornings is, I'm journaling and I'm kind of saying my prayers and going there. But then when I have those days that you feel like you get the punch in the gut, you've got to shift that energy somehow, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So write down 10 things you're grateful for.
I love that.
Does it shift your energy?
Well,
maybe it does. One time I had to go to 40 before it shifted my energy because before I was walking into a networking thing.
Sure.
But that is the quickest, fastest way to shift your energy.
One thing I do every day, and it's really wonderful. I'm in 3 different groups now, email groups.
Yeah.
And every morning we start off by sharing 3 things we're grateful for the day. But what's beautiful about it is now 17 people total in those 3 different groups. So all day long, I'm getting an email and it says, hey, hope everybody's doing well. I'm grateful for, and you just read all this stuff people are grateful for. It's an easy thing to do. It's email. The more people you get involved, the more grateful you are about everything. First off, you learn about that, so on and so forth. And we got to go to a break here, but one thing about energy as well is you can feel the negative energy from somebody just as quick as you can feel the positive energy.
Well, and before we go, we'll stretch this just a little bit, because I have a story. A buddy of mine that I worked for in high school, Jay, he would always tell us this story about when he had a business doing video games, coin op, right, back in the 70s and 80s and whatnot. And the Nintendo came out and he lost everything.
Sure.
And he said he was driving home and he's crying, hitting the steering wheel. This woe is me. You know, it's all gone. I'm going bankrupt. And he said as he's going along, there's this jogger that he sees coming toward him. And he said, I could see this guy's smile a half a mile away. Right. And he starts kind of focusing on this guy. And as he gets closer and closer and closer, he realizes this smiling jogger had no arms. This is a true story. Had no arms. And he stopped and he, goes flying by the guy and he goes, wait a minute, Jay. You have all your, when you said you have all my toes. Yeah, I have arms. I have the opportunity. I live in the greatest country of the world that can make it happen. And he said it was that moment in life that got him to reset. Now, I imagine his life was pretty rough for the next couple of years as he went through bankruptcy and whatnot, but started over, started a business, became successful again. And he always told us that story. And here I am 40 years later, still remember this story. And that's a great point. Focus, do some good things, write it down. I love that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to head to a break here, and we want to thank Lincoln Coin and Bullion for sponsoring the show. They've been a trusted local resource for precious metals, rare coins, collectibles, helping customers buy and sell with transparency, and confidence. That's a big word for me today. Anyway, you're listening to Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing. We'll be right back with Lynette Sorrentino of Chaos to Boss with This Needs an Adjustment.
Building business one story at a time. Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
And we're back on Inside Business, sponsored by 6 to 6 Auto. I love those guys.
I mean, Dean is great and everybody that works down there.
Fixed my tree rat problem from gnawing all the wires in my truck, so I appreciate them a lot. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, we're here with Lynette Sorrentino from Chaos to Boss, and it's time for This Needs an Adjustment. We all need an adjustment every once in a while in our mindset, in our business, in our body. But tell us something about that you needed an adjustment, or people you see all the time that you coach and work with that need an adjustment. What's common? What do you see?
Common as I think there are a lot of people that are doing what they're doing because someone said that's a secure job, that's a good career path, you ought to do this, you ought to do that, and that's when they really feel like they're in the grind and they love Fridays and they hate Mondays. So that's where you need to make an adjustment and say, what brings me joy? What really brings me happiness? What is my gift that God gave me that I'm not utilizing right now? That's where I think a lot of times, and maybe that's in the career. Maybe, for me, that was a choice I had to make in a marriage that was unhealthy. It could be personal relationships that, I've had some scenarios lately that have kind of personal relationships that have kind of fallen away with girlfriends. But sometimes as you grow, you're going to outgrow people. Or maybe you say, I've got a business friend of mine, she says, I need new friends because people don't understand her entrepreneurial mindset. And she's with people working traditional 8 to 5s. So there are adjustments. And I think you just have to look inside and say, how does this align with me? How does this align with my values and where I want to go? And if it's not in alignment, because that's what an adjustment is for, is to get your spine in alignment.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to go and get this is perfect segue here, then get your life in alignment.
Yeah. See, one thing that Shannon, she wants to take Friday afternoons off, right?
Great idea, Shannon.
I think it's a great idea. But then inevitably she'll come back to my office and where I have to work, because Friday is when I really do the prep for the show. So she comes back at noon and she's like, I'm really done for the day, but I feel guilty going home while you're still here working. I'm like, get out of here, go. Do a lot of people have that guilt?
Yep.
I mean, it's like,
that's a
you're not helping me.
That's a woman thing.
Is it a woman thing?
It's a woman thing. Yep. We feel guilty. And that's where I had to learn, going back to, I said, I had to learn to say yes to me, because we get so busy feeling guilty and taking care of our spouses and our kids and our jobs. We're so busy caring and providing and nurturing. And that's that woman energy that we put out. We feel like we need to be doing everything for everyone, but we're not empowering anyone, but we're also not giving ourselves the break to be that centered, happy, healthy person we need to be for the people that are important, because we're in that cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How do you get people over that mental block though? Because like, for me, I don't care. Get out of here. I mean, how do you coach people to get past that?
I think there are sometimes you just have to realize that the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the burnout, or you're hitting the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a book like Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory. That one is magical about letting go and taking care, because that also goes in with boundaries. A lot of things I had to do to let go with things with my son.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, and I actually had a pastor once say, you cannot change the whole world. You cannot save the whole world, let alone save everyone else. And my little picture is, most of us in Nebraska know what a center pivot irrigation system is, correct?
Yes.
We know what a center pivot
It's when
is.
you put your sprinkler in the middle of the yard and it goes all the way around.
Exactly. So imagine that the women in the household are the center pivot. They're that center pivot, and everything else is revolving around it. But if the center pivot is broken, then is there anything that's going to get fed or fertilized or irrigated or any of that in the field where that circle's going round and round and round?
No.
Just one little bit of it. The same little bit that's getting watered. That's it.
That's just
where a little
it gets stuck in one place,
Yeah.
where it's even not putting any water out at all. It's just dribbling into one spot in the bottom. So where I'm going is, women are the center pivot of our homes. And if we don't take care of ourselves, then nothing really works outside of that.
See, and like for me, because I've gone through that where you feel guilty for leaving, like, I really need to. And then you do 1 hour's worth of work in a 5-hour span because you're just trying to stretch it out to justify being in the office. And finally you go, this is stupid.
Yep.
I'm getting out of here.
Yep.
And so like a couple times a week, I don't get into the office till 9:30. Doesn't bother me.
Imagine if and we're this whole thing of 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, 40 hours a week. I don't know. Most of us could get our job done in half the time if we really focus on it. Eliminate this phone called our attention deficit device, eliminate our distractions. And as I've been more proactive about my life and how I want to live, I'm not going to quit doing my businesses, but I have a mom who's going to be 91 in April. I'm going to eventually have grandbabies. I'm not going to stop working, but how do I fix that all in with what my values are? It's because I become more focused and intentional about what I'm doing. And the rest of it, I eliminate or delegate. So it's all about how you view it. You don't have to fill the time. And most people, they're so busy working because entrepreneurs are type A and we're working all the time. You don't have anything to fill the time. And so you fill it with work. So if you put time with your wife or put those boxes in first, put your values in your calendar. You schedule time with your family, you schedule me time, you schedule your chiropractor, you schedule your other stuff, put those in first. Then you figure out how to get that hour's worth of work done in 1 hour instead of 5.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the full circle thing?
One thing that I did that was magic for me is you can actually go in, because I sit at my desk, for 8 hours, 10 hours a day. I turned off the notification, the little ding when email comes in, because it's all crap anyway.
Yep.
Right. It's never something important.
And our CEO challenged all of us at work to, you're always going to add things to your to-do list every day, but also take things out of your life that are distracting. Is it picking up your phone and then scrolling or so on and so forth, and remove things as well as add things to your life is really important. We skip over removing things. We just pile it on and pile it on and pile it on. And that is what causes a challenge. Well, I think we need to head to a break here.
Yeah.
And this is great conversation today. I'm absolutely loving it. This needs an adjustment, sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic. When you need an adjustment in your business and in your body, do it before things get out of hand. Total chiropractic care for adults and pediatrics, rehabilitation, acupuncture, cupping, weight loss. The list goes on and on.
How long have you been going to those guys?
So gosh, over, well, a long time. I know, a long time. I'm really
time.
broken.
Back when you had hair.
Not that long. He's too young for that, by the way. That's how old I am. To see their list of services or to schedule an appointment, go online to ascendchiropracticne.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Travis Filing. We're talking with Lynette Sorrentino of Chaos to Boss, and we'll have more right after this break.
Local entrepreneurs, one conversation at a time. Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
It's the last segment of Inside Business, sponsored by Barry Law. I'm Gary Tharnish with Travis Filing, and we're talking with Lynette Sorrentino of Chaos to Boss. And this last segment, we just kind of toss you the keys to talk about Chaos to Boss and tell us what's on the horizon for your company, how people can reach you. Public speaking, I know, is something you do a lot. Let's chat about some of those things.
Okay. So where they can reach me, just go to chaostoboss.com. That's easy to find me.
Mm-hmm.
You can certainly also find me under Lynette Sorrentino. One N in Lynette, 2 R's in Sorrentino.
Okay.
That gets people confused on LinkedIn or Facebook or any of those things. I am really focusing a lot on public speaking because that's really where I feel like I can make the most impact to people. I want to be like the big commercial mower, not the little miniature weed eater, you know, make the biggest impact. But that also then goes into where people can see, we all know in what we do with our business, it's know, like, and trust. So if they're hearing me speak, they're going to know whether they can relate, whether they like me, whether they feel like they can trust what I have to say, and if it's relevant to them. Then we go into working one-to-one with, you know, the business executives, or we're working and doing workshops within the staff and helping people to be able to, with their mental well-being. And so they can, because employees will burn out. You know, there's different, there are certain jobs that are just high stress jobs by the nature of that. So what are things that we can put into place to help them manage it or meet the employees where they're at to help them? So it goes into really looking at what they need.
So there's a variety of tools people can choose. Either have you have a public speaker speaking to an organization, that type of thing, or to a large company, small company, whatever, and then go, hey, we need this. Let's go deeper, do workshops with this team or that team. So there's a lot to offer there. And I think that's very important. I think as business owners, we really forget that knowledge is power. And when we aren't sharing things with our employees, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's tough for them because they're going to see you going through something. They don't know what's going on in the background because you're not sharing it. It's hard for them to help. It's hard to help somebody when you don't really know what they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's very
and
true.
You can help people focus in on that, you know, and stop our daily grind mind. You know, I mean, I still deal with it all the time. You know, after seeing Hadestown, the Broadway show, I call it the fates are going doubt in the back of my mind on everything. I'm happy like they just get out of here, you know. But that song comes through my head that they do all the time because it's so true in life. You know, you can just start letting, like in an earlier segment where we talked about the negatives, take over.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I'm in my 60s and I look at that. I've kind of been able to figure a lot of this out, and I don't want people to have to wait until they're in their 60s to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm not a person who is cookie cutter, like, what's this speech or what's that? What I'm best at, and this goes to the Clifton strengths, is I'm individualistic. And what that means is you tell me what your scenario is, and then let's discuss what I can bring to the table to solve that problem. Because when you've got over 30 years of entrepreneurship in your brain, you know, there's too much wisdom there that I feel like I can offer to people, but it's more individualistic, or let's have a discussion about it. I don't think the cookie cutter is the best to deliver the best result for them. And that's not when I'm in my true authenticity of being able to do the best job for them.
Right. One size doesn't fit all. And almost everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think trying to teach business owners to just take it one day at a time. And I was just thinking, my son sent me a song and there's a line in it. It says, good night stress, see you in the morning, right? Put it to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it to bed. Yeah. And I think so many business owners, they like we've been saying, they get caught in the grind and they almost see it as this badge of honor, and they just keep on this merry-go-round. And it's like, just relax. man.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
forget, there's more to life than business.
My phrase this year is be where your feet are. And it literally means that. Like right now, I'm doing this radio show. I want to be here. I want to be present in this, you know? And what happens in the middle of that is even in the middle of this radio show today, I'm thinking of the roller coaster that my first 2 hours were today with different clients and situations. And it starts creeping my head. I'm like, go. I'm where my feet are. I'm right here right now. I don't need to deal with that. I'm in this moment. So when you're with your kids, be with your kids.
Yeah.
When you're with your spouse, be with your spouse.
Yep.
You know, that is so important. And I think don't hit me, Travis. Work to life balance is not his favorite word, but I mean, I get the phrase work to life balance, but it's really more for me. What I did is I'm just going to be where my feet are this year.
Yeah. I think the key word there, because of technology, work-life balance is a misnomer. It's living in harmony.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's living
Perfect.
harmoniously.
Yep.
And there's some days you're going to be needing to work more. There's different professions, whether it's accountants right now, but then they're going to have a lot more time in the summer that they can go, you know, so it's more about living a harmonious lifestyle. And I was intentional about how I taught my kids about that. I have to work now so we can get to go do that. But it's that being present part with your spouse, because that's when the relationships fall apart, but that's the intentionality. One little tip I'll say that I do almost every single Friday is, and this is working with the intentionality that helps you be present. I take myself to lunch. I did this yesterday. I take myself to lunch and I go and reflect on the week. What worked, what didn't, what are the successes, what are the wins, you know, but also it's fresh in my mind. What do I need to be focusing on and what do I need to do next week? So I plan my week. I get it structured. I get it scheduled. I do a brain dump of everything, personal, business, both businesses, all the stuff that, sorry, microphone, all the things that talk with my hands, all the things that we have to do. And I take myself for lunch and I maybe have an adult beverage and it's an hour and a half thing. But then I take the rest of Friday afternoon off, maybe run groceries, do whatever I want. But then first of all, I get to check out and be present for the rest of the weekend. And then when I check in on Monday morning, I already know what my walking papers are and what I need to do. And then every day at the end of the day, brained up and planned the next day. So when you get up the next morning, you know what to do and you're focused and you're not wasting time, but you can also check it off of your list so you can then check out and be present to your family or with the next thing that you're doing.
Yeah. Intentionality. It's so important.
One thing I started doing this about 6 months ago, like, especially when I go out to dinner with Shannon or something like that, leave your phone in the car. Don't do the turn the ringer off or put it on vibrate or sit it in your pocket. Nothing drives me crazier than when people sit down to dinner and they pull their phone out and they sit it on that table and they've put out a message. This phone is more important than you.
Right.
And if this is going to take priority, if we're in the middle of a conversation or whatever, I'm going to jump to the phone. And I think it's the worst thing you can do. And I know that because I used to do it all the time.
Oh,
leave it in the car. Be present. Be where your feet are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah,
thank you so much
It's been great fun.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynette.
And it's a shoestring catch, so to speak. I mean, came in at the last minute and we really do appreciate that. So
my pleasure.
Want to thank the Lincoln Airport for sponsoring the show. Business owners, flying out of Lincoln means shorter lines, easier parking, and a smoother travel day, getting you and your family and your employees to where they need to go without the hassle. Not to mention, flying from Lincoln strengthens our community. You've been listening to Inside Business, Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, sponsored by Barry Law. I think we already said that once, but we still love them so much. Thank you for coming in, Lynette. We appreciate it. Stick around for Grow Lincoln.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
And go Big Red.
Yeah.
Go Big Red. Exactly.